Alright, so part 2. Hi, hello, what's up? If you're looking for part 1, that's this one right here, and I highly recommend watching that one first before this one, just to get that episodic experience, you know? Also, I did a hot minute of Googling after I made the first part, and it turns out that maybe, just maybe, it wasn't a one-on-one album for raffle at the audition, but a different album altogether. Minor details that chip away my credibility early on? Oh yeah. Alright, cool. Moving on. So where I left off, I'm sitting there, right? Debating if I should just back out of the audition anyways, when Dawn suggested I could just do modeling, like she was doing. Looking back, I don't know why I thought that modeling would be any better than a dance cover. I mean, that dance cover I at least practiced and knew by heart, more or less. Modeling, on the other hand, was something I had zero experience in. So apparently, according to past me, I was much less likely to make a mistake when running through something I had never particularly practiced prior to its moment of execution as compared to something I already did somewhat well in front of an audience, for a school grade. Shoving aside this half-baked plan for future Yulia to deal with, I joined the group in a sprint through the rain to a Korean supermarket across the street. Although we were mostly looking to get out of the rain and have something to do, we also couldn't help but entertain the idea of getting something to eat. Being the prepared individual that I was, along with not bringing a jacket and or umbrella, I also neglected to bring a snack, as well as money. I know, please hold your applause for the end. But to be fair, I didn't expect the audition wait time would run so long, nor did I think that I'd be hungry. I ate right before I left. So the group walks into the supermarket, and at first, Nana, Wendy, and Rose just kind of go off on their own to buy their food, with Luna, Dawn, and myself clumping up to browse the store together. I think I have vague memories of one of the girls getting the BTS coffee, but I digress. Distracted by the pastries at the bakery section, I straggled behind the rest of the group. I suppose I looked desperate enough that Nana offered to buy me something, to which I politely attempted declining. I felt guilty for accepting since I had no money on hand to pay it back, but she was so convincing, and I was super hungry, that I eventually caved in, choosing a strawberry roll cake, profusely thanking her for it afterwards. Now this cake slice couldn't have been anywhere upwards of $10, but it truly made my day, to the point that I still think about it a little more than 2 years later. So Nana, if you ever happen to see this, you're a real one. Thank you so much. We milled about the Korean supermarket for a little longer, and after everyone had bought what they wanted, we sprinted back across the street to the hotel, hoping our numbers hadn't been called yet. Which they weren't. They were just barely approaching the hundreds mark. When we walked in, we noticed that the nervous vibe of the place had just kind of diffused. The applicants were chilled out, sitting around the hotel hallways, practicing their audition pieces and getting to know each other. Moving around as a small group once again, we crashed in one of the hallways ourselves. There, I tore into the strawberry roll cake like a ravenous wild animal. We hung around in the hallway for a little while longer, scrolling through our phones and idly talking, and then poked around the hotel to see what the other applicants were doing. And they were all super chill. One guy brought a guitar, which really stood out to me, and another girl was super good at dance. I remember being totally starstruck by her. As the minutes ticked away and the audition numbers drew closer to my own, I felt the anxiety in my stomach returning once again. I remember repeatedly practicing my this is going to give me psychic damage. I remember setting up the timer on my phone and practicing my model walk, walking up and down the hotel common area. Okay, so here's the map of the hotel where the audition is being held. Here we have the table where the K-pop company staff accept the applications. Right about here was a line of chairs, maybe like 4 of them, where the next mini wave of audition applicants were to wait until they were called. There was this small room right here, and the doors were closed the whole time since we came in, only opening to let the applicants in and out. It was a little intimidating. Luna's number was a bit before mine, and when her number was called, she sat down the chairs to wait, eagerly waving to me from her seat. When her number was called, she got up and went in. Maybe less than 5 minutes after, she emerged from the room. I remember being like, wait, that's it? Before I knew it, I found myself sitting in the next wave's audition seats. This was it, the moment that the 41 of you guys have probably been waiting for. Okay, and without further ado, let's take it away. I hesitantly entered the room, where there were 3 ladies waiting for me, all sitting lined up along this long foldable table. The room was pretty small, smaller than I expected, and I noticed that there were some ring lights set up, like the ones that TikTokers and cosplayers have, along with some umbrella-looking lights or reflectors that tend to crop up on school picture days. On the floor, there were some X's marked with tape, and some tape lines running through them. Presenting myself before the staff, I just kind of stood there for a moment, processing the situation I was now in. My brain just totally shut down. I remember standing there and introducing myself in English. I wasn't going to try to introduce myself in Korean. A moment passed and there was a long silence, to which I tried to fill by saying something really intelligent along the lines of, "So I'm modeling, what do I do for that? Sorry, I've never auditioned before, and yeah." Another long silence filled the room. One of the audition ladies kindly broke this next bout of silence by pointing out the tape markings I was standing on and explained the pattern in which I should follow them. Oh, okay, thank you. And how many poses should I do? Another silence passed before they replied that I could really do as many as I wanted, just be mindful of the time limit. While 2 of them sat there taking notes and reading what I can only assume to have been my application, the third was there with one of those silver point and shoot cameras quietly recording. She didn't say a word, just kept the camera trained on me. Because there was also a camera on a tripod, I remember being so lost as to which camera to make eye contact with, so I just didn't. Rather, I nervously alternated making eye contact between the audition ladies and the floor. And so I did my model poses, cringing inwardly with every single one I did. The whole time I was all, don't mess up, don't mess up, don't mess up, because they were timing me, okay? However, while they did have an intense aura, the audition ladies weren't rude in the slightest. They were super sweet and super patient, even in the face of the sheer number of applicants still waiting to audition. And just like that, it was over. I awkwardly excused myself, thanked them for their time, and practically tripped over myself on my way out.